Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me once again. We're looking in this video at question number 17 on our grade 11 Fermat paper from 2018. In the diagram, square PQRS has a side length of 2. Points M and N are the midpoints of SR and RQ respectively. The value of the cosine of angle MPN is... Okay, so what can we do to work this out? Well, one might try and figure out these angles in here. I mean, we have our calculators handy, and we know that the three angles will in total add up to 90 degrees. So if you can figure out these angles, you can subtract them from 90 and get this angle. If it were something like 40 degrees or something like that, then you could take the cosine of that. Now, that is absolutely one way to do it. It's a good way to do it. And if that's the first thing that comes to your mind, congratulations. But I'm actually going to try and use the cosine law here. Now, you might say, how are you going to use the cosine law? You don't have a triangle. And you're absolutely right. I don't have a triangle. But I can make one. I can't remember if it's MN or NM in that order. So I get 2's here. I also get, since they're midpoints, I've got 1's here. 1's for the length QM and MR. Actually, let's see. Okay, I did have them in the wrong order. Let's just line it up properly in case anyone's comparing my solutions to the Waterloo solutions. Now, I want this angle up here. I want the cosine of this angle. That's what makes me think cosine law. But, oops, we don't have a triangle. Well, now we do. Okay. So, we could figure out the length PN, the length PM, and the length MN, all using these right angle triangles here, because we've got a hypotenuse here, so this is going to be 2 squared plus 1 squared square rooted, and that's going to be root 5. And this will also end up being root 5, and then we've got 1 squared plus 1 squared square rooted for this hypotenuse, and that's root 2. So the cosine we want, maybe we call this angle theta. Cosine of theta is, and we have to remember, you can either just remember one formulation of the cosine law and rearrange it, or you can remember two, one that gets you a side length and one that gets you just the cosine. I'm going to use just the one with the cosine right now. Okay, so we'll have the two adjacent sides squared minus the opposite side squared, divided by 2 times the adjacent sides. Okay? You might be a little more familiar with the cosine law being c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos theta. All we're doing is bringing the 2ab cos theta onto the one side, a squared plus b squared minus c squared onto the other side, and dividing by 2ab. That's all that's really happening here. But you can either remember just this formula, which I find most people know, and then rearrange it, or you could have the cosine theta formula memorized. But root 5 squared, we get a 5. We get a 5 minus a 2 over 2 times root 5 times root 5, so that's over 10. Is going to be 8 over 10. Okay. Well, I put a box around it a little prematurely. We can simplify this a bit more to 4/5, and that's probably what they've got as their answer. So let's take a look. 4/5 is the very first one, A. So that's what we're going to circle. That's what we're going to bubble in. That's what we're going to write down. And we are absolutely ready to move on. Okay? And you can get 4/5 the other way. You can absolutely use your calculator if that's something you want. I don't really think there's too much of a problem doing that. You would just use the one... let's actually do it, shall we? Let's just do it very quickly. Grabbing my calculator. I'll just, I've got the time. I'm not actually writing the contest, so let's do this again. And I'll do it the way that I suggested at the start, which is a good way. I am immediately sort of drawn to the cosine law when I saw that they were asking for the cosine rather than a specific angle. So what we can do is these three angles, maybe alpha, beta, and gamma, add up to 90. you can actually see pretty quickly that gamma is going to be the same as alpha, because they're basically this triangle and this triangle are congruent. So we just need to figure it out. We just need to figure out alpha. So we've got 2 here and a 1 here. You could do something like tangent. So tan alpha is opposite over adjacent, so 1/2. And now in my calculator, I can do the inverse tan of 1/2. So I'm getting alpha is 26.565 degrees. So beta, or theta as it was just a second ago, is 90 minus 2 copies of alpha. So I'll multiply this by 2, negative it, and add on 90. And we get beta is 36.869 something or other. Cosine that. And we recognize 0.8, or at least that's how it's being written on my calculator. And so I say, that's 4/5. Okay, perfectly acceptable other way to do the question. Neither one is more correct. I prefer the first method because I would say it's more exact. This one I have to either hold things on my calculator and then, what do I do if I don't have a calculator? But if I start rounding things off, I could very drastically mess the question up. And I try and avoid calculators when I can. Okay? So, that was question number 17. I will see you in the next video for question number 18. As always, feel free to like or subscribe or leave a comment. But whatever you do, I will see you for more math next time.